All right.
Coming to you live from the JRE Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios, it's the Cigar Pulpit.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm the Bishop of Nick, and with me today we have René Castaneda of Villiger Cigars. How you doing, René?
Nick, my friend, I'm doing good, man. I'm just getting set over here with my 1888 Nicaragua and
I got the same thing.
Getting ready to hear all about the PulpitFest.
You know, we've got all kinds of fun stuff going on, and you're going to be a part of it. And I'm so thrilled, happy, and honored that you're going to be a part of it.
Oh, listen, I promised that I was going to be there this year. I was even more surprised about a week ago when I realized that it's here in Florida. So like, that makes my life even a bit easier. So let's do it.
You know, I try to make your life as easy as humanly possible. No, everybody is super excited about this. I've got listeners that have been texting me about Airbnbs they're staying at in various places. Everybody's like looking, and you know what's really nice, and we'll light up the cigar, or I'll light up my cigar here in a second. But what's been really nice to see is that listeners are touching base with each other to say, hey, I've got a house that accommodates 8. Who wants to go in on it with me? You know, and that kind of thing. So it's been, that's the whole point of this event, is that it's a nice listener meetup and everybody can get to know each other and hang out and be friendly and, you know, everything. So I'm so excited with how this is going.
No, listen, and that's cool. The whole idea is to relax, to smoke cigars, to get to meet each other, to get to meet your group and the nice guys over there smoking cigars and telling stories, because that's also part of the game. You know, go out there and tell some stories around.
That's what you do at the cigar shop.
And we're gonna be in a nice place to have beers and cool stuff with
oh
Ken
yeah,
over there.
Go over to Ken's place, the Ash and Ale. It's going to be a wonderful time. That's where I saw you last. Was that Ash and Ale back in October?
Yes, sir. That is right. I was like I told you, I was planning to go to that area this week, but I got jury duty, and I'm supposed to show up at the court tomorrow at 8 a.m. So I'm just excited, getting ready to do it.
You know, there's ways you can get out of that, but you know, probably I'll tell you those off air so that you know we don't get incriminated for anything like that. Anyway, well, I'm going to cut my cigar, and the official cutting is brought to you by Riverman Cigar Company of Crestwood, Missouri. And Dan the Man Ponder, if you're watching his social media, he's getting in all kinds of stuff over there that he's placed orders for, both at PCA and after. And there's a nice selection of all kinds of new cigars coming in. I think I just saw that he got in the Rocky Patel, like Year of the Dragon or something, or whatever they're calling it. And he got in a nice supply of cigars from Forged and various other places. So guys, if you're in the St. Louis area, swing on by Dan the Man Ponder at Riverman Cigar Company and check out what he's got. And if you're not, you can always give him a call because he does do mail order. It's Dan the Man Ponder at Riverman Cigar Company of Crestwood, Missouri. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and cut my cigar. So René, let's talk PCA for a minute. That's what, you know, that was kind of the guise of bringing, I mean, I wanted to catch up with you anyway, but I figured, you know, that's kind of a good starting point of our conversation. So PCA was it's coming up about a month ago. It was about 3 weeks ago, I guess, at this point, right?
Yes, and almost a month, yeah.
It really does. So so let's talk about PCA. What did you think of the trade show this year? What did you guys come out with? And we'll go from there.
Let me tell you a funny story first, because I love funny stories. I got to the, you know, this time was not at the Sands at the Venetian. It was the convention center. I stayed at the Resort World.
Okay.
And they told me the cool way to go to the convention center is you take this loop on the ground.
The Tesla loop.
The Tesla loop.
Yeah.
So I really have no expectations of what this was going to be. So I'm all excited to go on the ground. Maybe I was expecting the electric train. Maybe I was, but then I saw just Tesla cars going around with it. I didn't say, maybe the cars won't have a driver, so I get to check out this time. So I was a bit disappointed because maybe I was expecting this high-tech thing. I mean, other than an amazing underground tunnels that they put together, I was just in a Tesla going around. Like, come on, like this thing, how special this could be. I mean,
Well,
don't get me wrong. A lot of people was impressed. I was not that I was not impressed. I was expecting Elon Musk, high-tech type of
get
crap, thing.
higher expectations. I get it.
Yes,
So
that
let me
was.
ask, how much were you able to use it? Because I've heard from some people that it really wasn't available at the times that manufacturers needed it, that it would start at like, let's say 9 a.m. and you guys need to be at the show by 8 a.m. or
Yes, it
something
was
like
that.
that.
And then Sunday was open. The trade show was what? Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Sunday was closed. One of the days was closed. I think you know how it is in Vegas. You lose the track of time.
Yeah.
So
it's yeah.
one of the days was closed, and then it was starting at 9 a.m. So it was on my way back. Out of curiosity, I took the time to wait for the whole entourage to go out for me to, okay, I need to check this out to see what's the big deal about it. But it was that was the inconvenient part. They started at 9 a.m. and we, the exhibitors had to be there by, at least before that one, because by 9 a.m. there was already some, I think it was VIP customers that were allowed to come in before hours. So it was that. Listen, it was a great show. I think it was a lot of good energy. I think people were excited. I mean, listen, a few years ago, I was one of the thoughts, like I was uncertain about the future of the PCA trade show and the trade shows overall. But I think it's back. It's strong. The retailers were there. There was a lot of media doing the coverage of the show. I didn't get much chance to walk around other than one of the mornings that I came early to do my little tour by myself, not to miss action in my own booth. So I was, I think the only company from the ones that pulled out before, it was Davidoff, the only one that was not there.
I believe you're right. Yeah.
That other than that, I saw a lot of interesting products, nice booth. There's some companies that put some nice booth, and I can give you on top of my head. I saw a great booth from La Aurora. I saw a great booth from the people from La Galera, Tabacalera Palma, La Galera Cigars. Yeah. They also put a very nice booth. And that got my attention just because, the last few years, and I say this with, Hochi Blanco, the owner of La Galera, is a dear friend of mine. It was a piece of crap, the booth that he had.
I mean, they're expensive. That's the thing. I mean, people need to understand that these booths that you guys are putting together, these are not cheap endeavors for you guys. I mean, these are expensive to put together. And then, my God, the amount of money you have to pay to have the union guys set them all up and everything, and it's not cheap
for us,
display.
Just to give you an idea, I said 20 by 20. It's a small booth. I mean, the overall cost of this thing is about $60,000.
That's insane to me.
It is insane. It is way too expensive. Nowadays, we see these trade shows. I mean, we as a company, as more as a marketing tool. This is the equivalent of us, let's say, putting a billboard on the expressway, because it's. You don't know how to listen, the reason that I say that is because maybe 5-10 years ago, this was the place to get new accounts, new business and all that. Now
I wanted to ask about that too, but we'll circle back to that. But okay, now, this is.
But things are evolving, changing. Technology, there is different way to meet customers, not just to wait for a trade show. Now there is so much technology, to reach out to the people and venues like you to get to the word out. So it's changing, and we as companies, we as an industry needs to keep evolving into this. And I think it's important, the trade show. I think it was well attended. At least what I saw, I don't have numbers. It was more the amount of people and action that I saw at the show, at the floor, and our booth. But it was good. It was good energy, good vibe. The people were very excited to be there. It was a bit weird because usually we do this in July, so it was like maybe too soon. We're back doing this. I mean, if there was a problem, it was maybe that not that many of the new products that were being presented were ready just because of the short amount of time. Usually
I
have
heard
about
that a
year.
lot, that it was a lot of pre-orders and not necessarily like, hey, buy it and we'll have it at your shop by the time you get back kind of thing.
Yeah, for example, we were supposed to launch a new extension of the Villiger Cuellar. We decided to hold it because we were not ready for that one. So we decided just to present the two new sizes of the 1888 Nicaragua. If you remember last time, when we launched the brand, we had three sizes: the Corona, the Robusto, and the Toro. So we presented at the show the Churchill 7x47 and a Gordo 6x60. So those were the two sizes. But even that it was just two new sizes, we're going to start shipping them sometime in May. So we were able to have some samples and some stuff. But, to execute just a new Vitola is very easy compared to launching a new brand. So that was the reason we decided if we're ready, we will launch the new brand by the summer. But for now, we just put, those two new sizes, and we hope that it will hit the stores, by the end of May. So, again, is the delay of the delay because of boxes, production, designs, and all of this kind of stuff that
I would hope that everybody kind of understands that with the fact that the trade show moved from July to March, there was going to be, this year was going to be a weird transition year. You were going to have situations like you're talking about where you're displaying in March, but you're shipping in May. You were going to have products like you're talking about that just, it takes time to develop this stuff. So it's going to have to either get rushed this year, which you don't want, or you're going to have to push it back. But now you've got something already for April of next year in New Orleans.
Yes, now we're adjusting. I knew that this year was going to be a bit of a challenge because of the transition into a new schedule. And listen, from the cigar industry point of view, remember this: on January we had the Puro Sabor Festival in Nicaragua. In February we had the Pro Cigar Festival in Dominican Republic.
Additionally, a TPE in the middle of there too.
And the TPE is this.
I know you guys didn't do that, but but a lot of them do, and that sort of thing. Yeah.
And then for us, for example, there is the Habanos Festival, because that we're the Habanos distributor in the German-speaking countries.
Yeah.
So it's way too many things in the schedule. The only good part about that one is that my schedule is quite open, so I can go to the PulpitFest.
There you go. And see, and I love it. And I appreciate that so much. So real quick, just to clarify, so you did unveil the Churchill and the Gordo of the 1888 Nicaragua.
Exactly. That was the main two things that we released over there. I think, and I'm actually smoking the Churchill size.
Okay.
I think I think that at least right now I'm in love with this Vitola. I think the blend smokes much better in that 7x47 ring gauge. I mean, the flavor comes out very, very nicely. The same, the roasted nose, a little touch of mocha, the sweetness of the caramel, but more rounded. I used to smoke, and the reason that I say this because I was smoking more the Corona size. And on the Corona size, this blend is a bit more aggressive because of the amount of tobacco that you have to weigh, to put in to balance the blend. And this one, toned down a little bit on the strength and more rounded on the flavor. So it was that. And of course, the 6x60 is just because every other retailer was asking us for a 6x60.
People love that size.
Yes.
I mean, that size. I mean, to be honest, I could sit here and we could have a debate as to why you came out with a Corona size to start with instead of the Gordo size, because it feels like, at least from what I hear from retailers, Toro, Robusto, Gordo, and then from there you kind of like expand out.
Listen, the answer is quite simple, and you're absolutely right. The only reason that we started with Coronas is because this brand was developed by our German team for the European market.
And they
the
like
European
the
markets, the Coronas are the queens, not the kings, the queens. And so we took it over here, and we're going to see how the market evolves, because that might be the Vitola. We try to keep the brands into just 4 Vitolas. So if my assessment is good, I mean, we might stay just with the Robusto, the Toro, the Churchill, and the Gordo for the US, and discontinue the Corona for the US market and just leave it for the European market. But that was the reason when I started that with when we started with this brand.
Okay, we'll see. And I have, it's funny you mentioned that. So I'm smoking the Toro, but I didn't know how long our conversation was going to go today. So I always like to have another one on deck just in case. And I have the Corona on deck, you know. And so it's one of the, I like Coronas for short smokes, you know, like, you know, you have a little bit less time, or just like you were also talking about differences in flavor and how they're constructed. Personally, for me, I'm not the biggest fan of Gordos, but I know a ton of people that do, and or that like them, and not only like those, but even bigger. Have you guys ever considered going even larger and getting into the 7x70 game or anything like that?
You know what? We have had the request. We have never done it.
They're
I don't
big
know.
sellers, man. You know who really likes them is truckers, because they can light them, and as they're driving their semi trucks and everything, they can get 3.5 hours out of that cigar, and they don't have to worry about lighting 3 cigars in that amount of time. They can just get a ton of road time with 1 cigar.
You're right about that. I know, listen, and there is a nice market for big ring gauge cigars. But you know, listen, how about that? I'm gonna see if we can make some of them when we get together for the PulpitFest, and maybe with some of the guys who test that idea. How about I'm gonna take you up to the challenge?
What? You have no, that's the thing. With PulpitFest, you have a focus group all pulled together, man. You have a focus group of people from all over the country. I mean, you know, I'm looking at the people that are signing up for this thing. We've got people traveling in from Wisconsin. I have it on good authority that at least 2 guys from Canada are doing everything possible they can to make it down. You know, you've got guys from Memphis. I mean, they're coming from all over for this thing. So
no, listen, it could be a good.
I'm giving you a focus group. That's what I'm.
There you are. Cool. I'll take the challenge on that. No, listen, and the good thing about, or at least what we were trying to accomplish with this, it was to have a great blend, a great cigar below $10. You know, and we want the MSRP
very important these days.
Below $10. I think that there is still. I mean, I'm sure that there is the big portion of this market is still on being an affordable luxury item. You know, this is the key for cigars. You know, we don't. I was talking to some people because, you know, one of the main things that you saw at the show was these expensive cigars. I mean, and I can say names, and with that, I'm not putting them down. You know, I saw the Rocky Patel Conviction. There was. Of course, all these Year of the Dragons that they were up there with the pricing, and it's great. And listen, if you have the money to do it, by all means, do it. But it's a matter of how deep is your pocket. And listen, I'll put it this way: I like wines. My palate is sophisticated enough up to $35. After that one,
you know, I'll give you that. So, like, cigar wise, a celebratory cigar. I mean, like celebrating birth of a child or some sort of big milestone like that, about $30 for me. You know, you go beyond $30, I can't tell you the difference between a $30 cigar and a $50 or $100 cigar.
That's what I meant. But if you have the money, and if you think that what you just did or accomplished deserve a $200 cigar, by all means, go for it, baby.
Hey, if you want to do it, yeah.
And if you have the money, you're not breaking the bank because you have deep pockets, by all means. Put it this way. I have a dear friend of mine that he was like, René, I bought these 2 cigars of what is called the Legacy Padron Fuentes thing.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I like, how much you pay for this? $200 for each one. But I bought 2 because it's for you and for me, so we can get together and smoke the cigar. And I told him, this is the only time you're going to see me smoking that cigar, because I'm not paying $200 for that.
You know, and God love him for doing it. I've said, this is my opinion, not Renee's opinion, just for everybody listening. I kind of feel like as a consumer that they should have just done like 5 boxes, auction them off at like astronomical prices for charity. It would have been a super limited thing. They could have raised a ton of money for charity because I think they're donating them. There's proceeds
I'm
going
not
to
sure.
charity, I believe. But anyway, do that and make it so limited that in my mind, I can look at it and say, that's a cool project. I would never be able to get it, but it's cool. But now it's kind of a tease because it's like it's out there enough. It's $200 a stick, but the problem is you can't get one. You got to get two because you got to have both the Fuente and the Padron. But anyway,
Yes.
I don't want to like shit
No,
talk a
no, no. Listen,
product or
no, no.
anything, but
Again, that's the reason. I think these are
yeah,
cool projects. You know, the if the people can afford it and you have the money and you can enjoy that, by all means, do it because that's the main reason. But again, that your daily cigars, people like you and me that smoke 1, 2, even 3 cigars a day. And as I told you last time, you know, one of the cigars that I smoke a day is not a Villiger cigar, so I'm actually paying for the freaking cigar.
there you go.
So that's the reason that it's one a day. So I need to keep it, average 10, 15 bucks, a cigar. I don't go crazy. It has to be something extremely whatever that I have. Listen, one got my attention because of the packaging. It was whatever was the rabbit from Davidoff last year. That was $50. I actually
Yeah.
bought one cigar because I like, this is a freaking great execution. The box, the this, the that. I mean, the store gave me the box because I was out of curiosity. I wanted to check out the details of the empty box.
Yeah.
But that was the last time that I paid one. But it was more my cigar industry mentality. Like, let me take a closer look to this because the execution was beautiful. So that was the last time that I paid more than $20 for a cigar.
Yeah.
Again, I'm talking as Rene as the consumer. I think that $20 is my limit on the cigars. Like I told you, wine $35. My palate is not that sophisticated to go over that price point.
Well, I think if you just take a look at just the general state of the economy in the United States, and I'm not well enough versed with the rest of the world, but at least with the United States, I think right now the average cigar smoking consumer, I think you're hitting right in that sweet spot price point. Keeping it at $10 or under, that's what we can afford on the regular, and that's what I think people are looking for. And there's brands like yours, McAuliffe. There's a couple others that are putting out cigars at that price point, and you guys are going to benefit from that because not everybody can go in and pick up, like you're saying, the 15, 20, 30 and on up kind of cigars for the regular.
True. No, I hope that we, the industry, do not spoil the game. Meaning, listen, this is one of international situations. So you go to the international markets, and now the Cubans cost an arm and a leg.
Yes, they do.
So now they start like from $30 up. You name it. That's like the cheapest. And
Yeah.
then you go to the 50 to the 100. So of course that had opened up the door of the new world cigars into all the international markets. So now that you have more AJs, Rockies, these, and all of them available there because suddenly a $25 cigar is extremely affordable in that market.
Yeah.
And but $25 for us is a little bit on the high side already. So that's the part that I hope that we don't get greedy because we can sell for 25, but we can sell at 25 in the US too. Yes, we can, but I don't know. It's a debate that we in the industry are going through. But it's that I think one of the catalyzers of that situation, it's the situation with the international markets.
Oh, I'm
that
sure.
Suddenly a 20, 25, $30 cigar is a cheap cigar in the international markets. So that's the things that we have to consider as cigar industry people to make sure that we keep what I just told you. This is an affordable luxury. This is thing that you want to enjoy, but you don't have to break the bank to have a good time.
I just said it recently. I had Dave Garofalo from Two Guys Cigars on the show, and we were talking about a lot of similar things, pricing and everything, because he came out with an editorial about this. But one of the things that I pointed out was, there are to your point, wines. There are some very high-end wines that maybe kings and queens are only able to procure and afford, and there are luxury vehicles that only movie stars and music stars and whatnot are ever going to be able to drive, and I'm never going to be able to drive it, and that sort of thing. But by God, a cigar, a really good cigar, typically is priced at the point where I can smoke the same thing as the king of Saudi
True.
Arabia, and I can be smoking the same thing as, some rapper or movie star, and that's the luxury of it. Of that luxury is that it's we say it on here all the time. It's the great equalizer. Everybody that goes into the lounge, whether you're a judge, a lawyer, or a ditch digger, you're all smoking a really good premium artisan cigar, and I like the fact that, to your point, you don't want to price it to where you do create a class system within this luxury.
No, for sure. And listen, there is also, limited editions, and we put, something different thing because it has some special tobacco because the packaging costs more. But we need to keep, I think that we as an industry need to keep some core brands at a price that is an equalizer, that any of us can smoke it, and we don't have to get a loan in the bank to go and buy a cigar.
For sure. And you just touched on this. So like your prices are going, you're not prices, but like your costs are going up. The cost of growing the tobacco, curing it and doing whatever with it, having the rollers, the bands, the packaging, the shipping. I mean, the cost of goods is going up these days. So like, it's not one of those things where it's out of line for you to do perhaps an annual price increase, but it's like when you look at what if your costs go up, let's say 8%, that doesn't justify going from a $10 cigar to a $20 cigar for that same product. It's like increase your price accordingly and keep it nice and fair to where everybody, still wins. You guys get your profit, we get our quality cigar, the retailer gets their cut of the profit in there, and everybody can win is my point.
For sure. But listen, enough of the economy class, and let's go
Yes.
back to the PCA.
Let's have some fun. So, okay. So
No,
did
but
you
listen,
go
the
in?
PCA, it was a crazy good time. I was only 2 of the 3 days.
Mhm.
Tell the story. I had some of the Villiger family members with us at the show. They came
Oh,
to
cool.
visit. No, the main thing is that just to give you a little bit of inside information, I presented at the beginning or at the end of last year the plan for the next 3 years, and the goal is to double our presence in the U.S. By the end of 25. As I told you, and when we spoke last time or the first time that we spoke, we are an old company, but a latecomer to the U.S. market.
For sure.
So we have a lot of work to do to catch up, with and to be at the level that we think as a company we should be. So I talked to the family and I told them, like, listen, how about if you come to the trade show, then you come to Miami, we spend some time together to take a look firsthand at what is it that we are doing, how competitive this market is, and especially on the premium side, because we have our, good, strong business on the machine made side. But I want them to take a closer look to it. And they took me on the word and the request, the challenge, and whatever. And they came. I even set them up with small talk or meetings, if you want to call it. And I put them, it was Corina Villiger, that is Mr. Heinrich Villiger's daughter. And I brought the next generation, Lucien Villiger, that is the grandson of Mr. Villiger. So the two of them came, and I put them with Jorge Padron. I put them in a meeting with Rocky Patel, with Nestor Plasencia, with Christian Iroa, with Hochi Blanco, of course, that is a dear friend, with Ernesto Perez Carrillo. So I told them, go around, and I set up all these meetings for them to get a first-hand conversation with the main competitors, the main characters of this industry. And then also I put them in meetings with some of our, large customers, large supporters of the brand. So that way they get a better impression of, it's a huge market. I told them, listen, and I wasn't trying to be disrespectful to what we have accomplished as a company in Europe, but like, we're always bragging about how big and how great we are in Germany. Germany is about the size of Texas, just for the sake of the conversation. So let's make sure that we have the right resources if we want to make sure that the future and the growth of this company should come from the US market. And it's a huge challenge. It's a lot of work. And that was the idea. That was the main reason that it was a different show for me, because besides being taking care of the customers, I was the official babysitter of the Villiger family.
I get it. Well, and see, that's an interesting point. Europeans tend to not understand just how large the United States is, and how diverse the United States can be. You have so many different climates and just mindsets, and it's just a very large place.
Listen, and by the way, I not only told them, Germany is about the size of Texas, but Switzerland is about the size of Connecticut. So let's just keep things in perspective. And what are we talking about over here? That we're talking about, almost like 50 some countries together, cultures, desires, and the way of living. And it's not the same guy in Florida, that the same guy that smokes cigars in Texas. Yes, we have a common thing, the equalizer, that is the cigar, but we have a different approach to things, in life. So it's a different culture. So it's a lot of work. And up to now, we, Villiger, in the US, we have been mainly a East Coast company. So we have had our in-house sales representative from Florida up to New England, but now we're moving to the center. We just hired a salesperson for Texas and Louisiana, just started at the beginning of April.
Great.
We are starting May 1st with a person for the Midwest. So we will have somebody based out of, covering Michigan, Illinois, the whole Midwest. And we also hired a person already for Southwest, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and all that. So, and we're planning to hire more people out there. And so that's part of the game. It's not just a marketing effort, but it's a sales and distribution effort to make sure that the cigars are available in the different areas, so that way we can create a good foundation. Like I told you one time, we're aiming not just to be the flavor of the month, is to stay over here, to be part of the rotation, of the regular rotation of the US cigar smokers, and also cigars that are in your personal humidor, not just in the stores. So let's make sure that they don't stay at the stores, but they go to your personal humidors too. So it's a completely different challenge. We're not trying to, hey, this is the cigar of the year, because, whatever, we're doing and make it the flavor of the month. It's a process. It's a step-by-step thing to try to make sure that we can showcase our cigar, present our cigar, earn the respect of the cigar smokers, because that's part of that. I can put a beautiful ad in Cigar Aficionado, but until you smoke my cigar, you won't know if it's any good or not. At the end of the day, they say, René, great picture, freaking great ad. Keep spending the money in Cigar Aficionado. You're right.
I mean, you guys do have some really good photography, at least on your Instagram, and I mean, on your wall there behind you and everything. So yeah,
listen,
but
at least we try to do this. We try to do things professionally. So at least we don't take pictures of our cigars with our phones. We try to have a professional photographer. But believe me, even for that to work, you need to have a photographer that is a cigar smoker. We try with different photographers, and if the guy doesn't smoke, it's difficult for them to capture the essence of a cigar. It's a weird thing that I couldn't understand at the beginning, and then I realized we need a freaking guy that smokes cigars to take the picture, so that way he can get the message in the right way. Even if you take a look, none of our pictures, the cigars are lit up. They're just there. But there is a beauty of a cigar smoker who only understand how to capture the beauty of the cigar. So that's that we try to do, and we're trying to do some videos and some cool stuff too. But again, it has to be cigar smoking people in order for them to understand, the mentality or the weirdness of us, the cigar smokers.
That's true. We're in love with dead leaves. So going back to the PCA for a moment, one of the things that I heard from a number of people that I spoke with from out there was that there were a lot of retailers, but that a decent amount of them, it was either their first time at the show or they were smaller retailers, And so they were maybe coming in and doing smaller orders and that sort of thing, which for some of the brands I spoke with, that was fine. It's a foot in the door and they can continue. Did you guys see any sort of a increase in retailers that your partner are working with now? Did you get some new accounts out of the show?
We did, and mainly goes back to what I was telling you. By the time that we went to the show, we already had the new gentleman, Adam, from the Southwest. And I'm pointing over there just because to my left, I have a map over here of the US. So if you
Gotcha.
see me doing this, it's because I have a big map over here.
You're tracking it. I gotcha.
And so he was sort of like almost like a month with us. And we saw a lot of new people because he was bringing, his people to the booth and to showcase the cigars. So I know that by adding new salespeople, we're going to improve that. But to answer to that one, yes, most of the big accounts, the accounts that we do, large business, they were still heavy on the inventory. They told me that they had good holidays, but not great. They still have inventory. And some of them were even asking if they, if we can take the order and ship it on July, for example. Some of, there was all kind of these requests because they wanted the product, they want to take advantage of the deals, but they didn't need the product today. So, it was, we especially from the large accounts, we got that. And to some extent, we gave us a deadline for any future orders to be shipped out until like the end of May. We had to accommodate because we got so many requests like that we needed to be flexible and listen, if we're there, let's write up the business and let's get it done, because if not, you never know. So we had to do that one. And on the spot, we expanded the deals up to the end of, no, it wasn't, the future shipping. They had to give us the order there for us to ship it no later than the end of May. That was what we made the adjustments. There was a lot of, and I say a lot because there was several customers and the stores that came and they were browsing, they were checking, they were not financially ready to place orders, and at least that's the excuse that they told us.
And I understand that because the vast majority of the country, not so much Florida, but the vast majority of the country, they just were coming out of the winter time where it was slower and maybe revenue was a little light for those few months and everything, whereas in July they've had a few months of sales to where they can build up and be ready to go. And so I kind of was wondering with PCA
and we were sort of like, sorry to interrupt, expecting
no, you're fine.
Expecting that because, listen, it's a small business. It's not like you're sitting on a pile of cash. You build up your cash, to go to these trade shows and take advantage of the deals. So of course, this is also the other part of the equation that needs to be readjusted for next year too.
Precisely.
Because you're changing the way that the game is being played from one year to the next. So of course, the stores now need to do their homework and build up their reserves to go to the trade show better prepared, not just to check what is the new thing that you have, and maybe in the future I will order it because today I don't have money, because we got a lot of that. But again, we were sort of like expecting that because of that one. The same way that we were not ready with product, they were not ready with the cash to spend it there. And
it was a transition year for everybody. Yes. Retailers, manufacturers, it was a transition year for everybody. So
that was one of the things that we were expecting, but it was more noticeable that I was even actually thinking of, and especially with that, we had to open the door for future date shipments in order to accommodate some of them. But again, unfortunately, we don't have exact numbers how many people were there and all that good stuff. But for us, it was a good show. I think the PCA is doing a very good job on getting and promoting and doing the whole thing for the show to be strong and to be alive. I don't know. Some people don't like next year is going to be in New Orleans. Some people like it. Some people don't like it. I mean, I like it a lot just because I like jazz. Let me just put it on the record, to go and.
Yeah.
My only concern is now they have a smoking ban, and my thing was, let me go and have a drink, let me have a cigar, and let me listen to some jazz. I'm not so sure about the smoking part. What's going to happen?
Well, the other thing is that weekend is the French Quarter Festival, which is the second largest event in New Orleans behind Mardi Gras. So
I
you're
didn't
going
know
to have
that.
a ton of people in town. So if you don't have your hotel yet, you might want to look into
You
that,
want to
buddy.
look at it?
You might want to look into that. So, but yeah, so no, that weekend's going to be busy just in general because of that too. So
Interesting. I didn't know. I just, they were talking to us from the PCA, the team from the PCA, that they got the okay from the government to allow us to smoke in the convention center, because that was at the beginning an issue, but now that part is under control. But again, I think next year it could be, things adjusted for us to, present new things on time, to be more ready, for market with the things that we present, and also for the retailers to be financially stronger in order to go to the show and take full advantage of the deals that they find over there.
Gotcha. Just for everybody's knowledge, apparently this is when the landscapers decide to come by and cut my lawn. So, awesome. And there's always something, man. So like they're doing repair work or reno work on the other half of the duplex I live in, and I've been dealing with that. And now apparently the guy's cutting the grass. So, it's one thing or another. But anyway, we'll get through. Well, good. I'm glad you had a really good show. I'm glad that the Villiger family was able to get around and chat with some folks and kind of get an idea of the North American market a little more. And it sounds like it was a beneficial show for everybody.
Yes, it was. And again, I got the budget approved to keep working on the plans that we presented.
I like that too.
That was my goal, and that part we got it done. So
there you
it
go.
was.
So
no, listen, it's always good. One thing is to for me to tell them the stories when we have the board of directors meeting over there in Switzerland, but I want them to see it firsthand. And this is a unique market, very different than the European market, not only because of the customers, but also as a company. Again, we started there. We have been doing business there for 135 years.
Yeah.
Over here, we have 15. So it's a complete different exercise. So the way that even the people, I still go to stores and some people ask me, is this a new company? So it's that part of the homework that we need to do to accomplish and to make the brand more relevant in the US market. So I don't get offended when the people tell me that, but for me, it's a challenge. Like, listen, we need to keep working on promoting and creating awareness for the brand. And the key and the foundation to all this, make great cigars. Don't come up with yes things, just because you want to get away with crime. Like, no, you need to make sure that the cigars are up to the quality that you want it to be in order to earn the respect from the consumers.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, like, there's no lack of great cigars out there these days. I mean, by and large, things are really, really good across the board. So yeah, for you to stand out, you got to maintain that level of quality, and you got to put out stuff that's unique that people are interested in.
You're right about that. There are some great cigars out there. I'm impressed. Sometimes, even there is still a lot of new things coming out, because I saw some brands do this 24/7. There were some brands like, who are these people? I don't even know this brand. So if that's for me, that I'm do this for a living, imagine for the consumer. But great cigars, great quality, beautiful packaging, beautiful presentations up there all over the show. So it's great, that at least at the show, as I told you, even if it's not longer the great selling show that it was 10 years ago, it's still a great marketing tool, for us to help us in that process of building the awareness for the Villiger brand. So it's good. We're pleased with the results. We're pleased with the sales. Sales were good. But we know that times are changing, and now the trade shows we consider them more a marketing tool than a selling tool, in order to build up or to develop a better foundation for our brands.
Well, I think getting reps out in those other areas that you were talking about, that's going to be a game changer for you. That's going to expose you guys to so many more smokers throughout the middle of the country, and really expand the brand.
For sure.
Which, by the way, your guy in Texas needs to go buy the Good Cigar. It's owned by Al Roman. and he's a friend of
Okay.
mine. So when your guy in Texas walks in, just be like, Nick from the Cigar Pulpit told me I needed to come by here and talk to you. So there
By
we
the
go.
way, you know, you are part of the process of getting the name of the name of the guy is Alejandro Ocasio, Alex Ocasio. So again, true story. I'm in the Dominican Republic. I was in Santiago visiting Hochi Blanco, visiting La Aurora, some old friends, Ernesto Perez Carrillo. So I stopped by La Aurora and say hello, and the master blender, Manuel Linoa, told me that he had a group for guys from Texas over there. And it was the group, the Golden Leaf Cigar Club. I said, like, great. He told me, like, we're going to have dinner tonight. If you have no plans, come over and join us at the dinner. So I was lucky enough to be in that dinner, to meet the guys. I was talking to Anthony, one of the members, and we were talking a bit, the small group that I was, you know, close nearby. And I told them, I'm looking for a guy from Texas. If you have any recommendations, I'm all ears. And they told me, like, it's right across the table. That's the guy Alejandro. So, but he told me, and you know, this guy Anthony, you know, he was telling me, Anthony, you know, we were chatting, we were talking, and Anthony was telling me, Rene, the only reason that I know your brand is because I listen to the Cigar Pulpit. And I said, like, I can't believe this.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome.
And with that point, it was the conversation got a little bit better, and I was, you know, I felt comfortable enough to ask, hey, any recommendations for a rep in Texas? Because I'm a firm believer on that one. When it comes to cigar people, it's more about recommendation because we are a unique breed, you know, the cigar people. This is not like, let's bring another guy from another field to come and sell.
Yeah.
It might work, but you need to be a cigar guy to play in this game. So out of that conversation, out of the connection, the Cigar Pulpit, the Golden Leaf Cigar Club, came out the part that we hired a few weeks ago, Alex Ocasio, to be our sales representative. Actually, he's the district sales manager for the Texas and Louisiana area.
Well,
so
you know what? I'm gonna take credit for the fact that you have a guy in Texas now. That's what I got out of that.
For sure. And that's the reason that I'm telling you, thank you so much, because that connection clicked right there with Anthony in order to make the magic happen.
Perfect. I won't even ask for a sales commission off of what he does. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, yeah. So now, you know, touching base on PulpitFest again. Guys, that's August 23rd through the 25th. Renee and I were kind of talking. I think that was before we started recording. That Friday, the 23rd. Things will kind of kick off in the afternoon, kind of around 3-4 o'clock, and it'll go until I don't know what time Ken closes on Friday and everything. And then Saturday is the real big day. And then Sunday, I know some of you were leaving at you know, got to get home and everything like that. So Sunday is going to be a nice casual day, but Renee is going to be a giant part of that weekend, and Villiger is going to be just all involved. And so if you guys are even remotely interested in trying Villiger cigars, I know Ken carries a nice selection of your cigars. You're going to be on hand. I mean, I think you said your rep might be there with you.
Yes, he's coming too. You know, listen, we want to make sure that we support you and we support Ken over there. You've been a great supporter of our brands, so we want to make sure that the love is there. As I told you, the same weekend there is another festival, but I say, you know what, I need to be at the Cigar Pulpit, so we'll be there. We'll be there. And again, we want, and I tell you public, we want to be the main sponsor of this event. So that was the reason that I was telling you, like, listen, let's make sure that we have a good plan over here to execute.
We got you. And I'll tell you, I appreciate the fact that you're picking PulpitFest over. I'll be open on it. It's the Rocky Mountain Cigar Festival, and you know, no disrespect to the Rocky Mountain Cigar Festival, but I appreciate it because you know, let's be real. You've been to Ken's place. Space is limited. Ticket, you know, availability for PulpitFest is limited. You probably would hit more people at Rocky Mountain, you know, on a per person kind of base, but it's quick interactions. It's like, hey, here's your cigar. Nice to meet you. It's going to be very intimate, man. You're going to get to know these people, and they're going to, and
that's one of the reasons that I wanted to do it, because you have like maybe 3 to 5 seconds of contact with another person over there. It's a big event. It's a well executed event. And also, been there, done that. Let me see what we can do at the Pulpit Fest, because I'm gonna have the chance to talk to you guys and spend time with you and to have a drink with you and try to fix the problems of the universe at the same time.
There you
So,
go.
you know, it's
We have some interesting viewpoints on the universe coming to this thing. I know that much. But no, that's the thing. And the people that are making the trek down to my event, I mean, these are what I would, anybody who makes the trek down to Palm Coast there, I'm going to consider, you know, my super fans. And so these are the guys that, if you sell them on the brand, and most of a portion of them have already tried your cigars. Oh my gosh. He's like right there. But a lot of, they've tried your cigars, but these are the kind of guys that are going to then go out in the world and say, I was just at this event. I met René. I tried Villiger. You guys have to try Villiger. So it's that you're getting those additional unpaid salespeople, I guess, would be the way to look at it.
No, listen, I think that you're right on the money on that one. This is the best way to create brand ambassadors, and is to have deep knowledge of the product, to have smoked the cigars, to be able to have conversation, to know where we're coming from, where our heart is when it comes to cigars. And I mean, me, myself, I'm a cigar guy. I love cigars. I talk cigars all the time. It's not like I'm just a business guy that I'm going to come and talk about P&Ls and stuff like that. No, I'm just going to be a cigar guy over there having cigars and talking crap, good and bad, about the industry.
No, see, that's the fun part is, little events like this is where you get the little deep, dark secrets that you can't tell anybody, but, you heard it, that sort of.
Oh, it's going to be fun. And again, it's in a relaxed atmosphere, to be able to present the brand for the people, to have a better knowledge of our brand. So I'm all for it. I think it's going to be fun, and it's going to be a great event for us as a brand too.
Well, perfect. And
you got the background. You have the background.
I think he's maybe almost done with this little section behind. He just keeps buzzing by. I see him out my little window in the tent here. He just keeps buzzing by, like right here. Anyway, well, very cool. Well, why don't we now go ahead and do your segment?
There you are.
It's time for the Villiger Cigars Entertainment Report, brought to you by Villiger. Villiger Cigars, one of the leading cigar and cigarello manufacturers in the world, founded in 1888 and still family owned and operated. Head over to villigercigars.com and check the store locator to find a shop near you that carries them. We guarantee that Villiger Cigars will be a wonderful addition to your humidor and cigar rotation. Okay, René, so this is the point in the show. Oh my, he's like right behind me. I swear, I'm telling you. So, okay, I told you that they're renovating the other half of my duplex. We have a new owner of this duplex, and I've talked to her. I'll give you the Reader's Digest. But the long and short is he's renovating all the units. And so at some point I'm getting the boot and I'm having to move somewhere else. And so I'm looking for somewhere else to go, and I want to buy. I don't want to rent anymore. I want to put in the if I'm going to be spending the kind of money that rentals cost these days, I want to get equity out of it and everything like that.
Of course.
So the goal, René, is that I find somewhere to where I can set up a permanent studio, and then that way I can soundproof it, I can make it nice, and I don't have this kind of stuff going on anymore. Anyway, so no, this is the point in the show when we talk about, what we've been entertained by, be it movies, TV shows, books, podcasts, whatever it is you've been consuming lately. What have you been consuming in your spare time? Or have you had any spare time?
I was disappointed. I was watching on my way from Las Vegas back to Miami from the PCA, the last or the latest thing of Mission Impossible in Mr. Tom Cruise and whatever, the Dead Reckoning or something like that. And there's always, I always consider Mission Impossible good plain entertainment. You put there, if you get to sleep, you wake up and they're still fighting and killing each other, and you're not missing much.
No, I get it.
This one, it was not big deal. Tom Cruise, what happened over here? But yeah. that interesting, but it was not up to the level of the other one. At least my impression on that one.
Now this one was part one, correct?
Yeah,
Like
it's
there's a
something like that. Yes, because then at the end, you know that something else is coming. I mean, big production, a lot of money into that one. You can see like, man, they spend a lot of money doing this crap.
Yeah.
But I watched that one. The other one that I watched that it was entertaining, it was in Spanish, is La Sociedad de la Nieve, the Society of Snow. Is about this plane with these rugby players. Real story coming out of Argentina, Uruguay, I think. They're going to Chile and the plane crashes in the Andes Mountains. And they
Okay.
were there like for like 45 days. True story. Amazing. You know, I think that was going to be nominated for the Oscars, but it wasn't. The Society of the Snow. And it was done by this Spaniard director, famous Spaniard director. Great one. That one was I was impressed with when it comes to movies. That one I watched it in Netflix because it came out maybe about a year ago.
Okay.
And a true story. So it's very crude. It's very like if you're about to fly out somewhere, don't watch it. Just
Oh God. Noted. I will wait until
listen.
I travel and get home.
It's like there's two movies that I don't recommend if you're about to get on the plane.
Okay.
First one, now that one, The Society of the Snow, and the other one is The Darkest Hour from Churchill. Because
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I told you, I was coming from San Francisco to Miami. This is a 5-hour flight. Boom, I get The Darkest Hour put there. Churchill is smoking a cigar from the very first second of the movie until the last one. And you're like, at what time are we landing to have a cigar, okay?
I need a cigar. But fantastic movie, though.
Fantastic movie.
Amazing movie.
And I was impressed when the guy, they brought him the breakfast, the eggs, the bacon, the toast, the scotch, and the cigar. Breakfast in bed.
I heard he woke up and would start his day with a cigar and a scotch, and he would go all day long with it.
All day long, you know. That one, you know, I don't recommend to watch it on a plane because you're going to be craving a cigar like you have no idea. That one. No, but those are the two, I mean, lately, the two movies that I've watched, the Mission Impossible Death Reckoning, I think is the name of it. Entertaining, nice action, all good stuff. And the Society of the Snow, because it's this historical thing that happened in the 70s. And it's quite interesting movie, the psychology, the whole thing that happens during the crash. So I don't want to give you more information, not to spoil the movie.
Okay. So interesting thing. I'm Googling as we're talking here. So I saw this the other day. So Winston Churchill, he obviously everybody knows he loves his cigars, but he apparently had he had an oxygen mask that he had to wear sometimes when he slept. I guess when he would fly and things like that. And so they actually designed an oxygen mask for him that was such that he could actually continue to smoke a cigar while wearing this mask in high altitude flights and things of that nature.
So what is this? Like when the people with COVID that they made a hole in a little mask to smoke a cigar while they're having the mask?
I don't know. I'm trying to read through this thing. I saw this and it was just one of those little quick things that I saw that I meant to get back to. But it's here. I can send you the link. But the headline says Winston Churchill was such a passionate smoker. He asked that his oxygen mask for high altitude flights be customized to fit a cigar. So, you know, the man, if there's ever an ambassador for cigars, man, it's Winston Churchill.
He was the man for cigars for sure.
For sure.
What else? You know, I read. You know that I'm a reader, so I read a lot.
Oh yeah.
I'm reading right now this one over here, The Why Nations Fell. And it's a historical book, interesting book, well written. But what else I was reading these days that it was very, very good. You know, this is like a weird hobby when it comes to reading that I decided a couple of years ago to try to read a book for every freaking Nobel Prize literature or whatever. So I read this one from this I tend to read like 3 books at a time, one in Spanish, one in English, and one in French. These are the languages that I speak. So
Yeah.
I'm always, going through 3 books at the same time. So I
That's
read
an
this.
interesting exercise to train your brain too, because it's
I
like
know,
you
for
have to like
sure.
shift. Yeah.
You shift, you don't get bored. So this is the one in English. In Spanish, the book is, because I'm about to finish it, it's called La Colmena, the Hive, from Camilo José Cejas. And it's a weird book because he doesn't narrate the book in a linear way, but it goes like by presenting each one of the people part of the story, and by explaining, okay, this is Nick, and Nick is in the cigar pulpit, and then Nick has a friend that is René. So by talking about each person, he's building up the story in a fascinating way that I've never read a book that developed like that, that is not telling the story, it's talking about the people, and by talking about the people, he's building up on the story that he's trying to present.
Interesting.
Quite interesting into that one. And then in French, I'm reading this book that is equivalent to the Savage Animal, and it's this Swiss French author that is like the most famous one right now is the guy is alive. He's a younger guy. He's like a 40-year-old guy, but it's all about mysteries and police type of movies and all that crazy stuff. Weird for us because you're talking about French and Swiss. It's like, okay, they don't behave like the Americans, when we talk about the police stuff.
Oh yeah.
but quite interesting on the way that they present the story. And but it's true. I try to put the different languages just first, because sometimes I get bored with one book, I can switch to the next one. Then I get bored, I go back to another one, and I keep switching. But usually it's that, I try to read the 3 books in a month, and that's my, I think, for whatever reason, I was telling, but I was talking to my daughter, and my daughter was telling me like, Dad, you read too much. He said, no, I'm just trying to impress the people that the way that they think that I'm intellectual.
I wish I had more time.
I tell her, this is the equivalent of people that watch movies. I don't watch movies. I just read the books, and that's it.
There you go. No, I wish I had more time to read. And to be honest, I probably do if I just were to cut out some other things in my life. But I'm the guy that goes to the bookstore and browses around and sees something, and I'm like, oh, that looks interesting, and I buy it. And it ends up on a pile at home. But I will say recently, I have a book that I bought. Oh God, I don't think it was last year. It might have been the year before. I can't remember when I bought it, but I've read it now 3 times. I just got done reading it recently again, and it's called Creativity by John Cleese from Monty Python.
Yes.
And it's a short book, very easy read. You can read it in a couple hours one day, and but there's so much in there. And what it basically states is that the common misconception is that you're either a creative person or you're not. That it's something you're born with. And that's John Cleese's thesis is that that's not true, that you can train and you can hone and you can build your creativity. And he gives, tips and anecdotes about how you can build your creativity. And one of the things that he talks about is the importance of play, that, we as adults, we tend to focus on work and focus on family and focus on life to where we don't give ourselves time to just sit and just play, just let our imaginations go. And he's like, creative people, they designate time, they take time out of their schedule, they block it off, they turn off their phones, they turn off everything, and they just play, just let their imagination go nuts.
Imagination flow, yeah.
And
that's a cool one.
But it's a really great book, so I would recommend that. Like I said, you can blow through that in 2 hours, if that. And it's really, really interesting. So Creativity by John Cleese, that's what I read most recently.
Cool. The podcast that I discovered in the last month, for whatever reason I didn't know, and it's called Throughline, and it's the way to understand the present by looking at the past. That's the tagline that they use it to start. It's one of these NPR's things, and but you learn a lot of history by doing that in an hour. They explain, like the last one that the last one that I heard or that I listened to was The Moth, and it's the history and how Vladimir Putin got to power, how the game that he played to become the president of Russia. amazing story that you really might not have any idea, like how the guy got there and how he became so powerful for coming from being nobody,
Yeah.
and like that. It goes really into the background of the details of how people that are so relevant, 20 years ago were like nobody. Dark
Well,
guy somewhere, KGB, dark in somewhere in East Germany. That was Vladimir Putin. Interesting one. Through line, but
we
through line is the
don't,
name of it.
I don't think Americans take as much, some do, but I don't think history is nearly as important to some Americans as it should be. I think that, to your point, the future is totally written by the past. I mean, like if you pay attention to the past, you can figure out how things could progress. I mean, it's just one of those things that you have
And
to
some things
know.
are so complex that it's like, whoa, how the
Yeah.
heck all of this happened?
Yeah, and that's the other. I mean, yeah. I mean, like you're talking about how Vladimir Putin became, the head of Russia and everything. I mean, that's. I'm sure that was a very complicated and windy road for him to get there. So
Oh yes, listen, and try to understand why the situation in Gaza and Israel is the way that it is. Man, I still don't understand, and I've read a lot about it. It's because it's so many years and layers and layers and
oh
layers and layers of
yeah,
things, like one to the next to the next to the next. It's complicated, but it's fascinating. I'm in love with history, and I like it a lot. So I tend to read a lot about it. And this one is more a historical book, the one that the White Nations fell, and
yeah,
it's more talking, in a way, the book starts explaining why the British colonies tend to be more successful than, let's say, the Spanish colonies. And this comes from
okay,
the historical background and institutions that the British established in the colonies in order for the colonies to be able to progress and to advance and to have the economic freedom that they have, while the Spaniard ones were more based out of corruption,
okay,
and they got all fucked up in the process. So
yeah,
because if historically, if you analyze, you have the US, you have countries like Australia, you have Canada, they're quite ahead of the game compared to any of the Spaniards or even French colonies. There is not that many of them that you can say like, wow, that's a colony that really succeed. No, there is
yeah,
not even one good example that you tell like, okay, this one succeed. So this is explaining the historical context of the institutions that were established during the colonies, that then when at the moment of independence, the countries took it and move on with them in order to make powerful nations, pretty much. So
yeah.
it's a very interesting book, but it comes from it's not a political book, it's a historical book about how come one countries are doing much better than the other ones, and what was the in reality the background of all this success or not success. So it's
I'll
it's,
have,
it's quite interesting.
I'll have to check it out. I'll have to check it out because it sounds interesting. I mean, and I
But I'll
mean,
give you an easy
yeah.
recipe for this, an easy recipe for read. Go in audiobooks and get in audiobooks.
See, I struggle with that because I don't retain the information from audiobooks as well as when I'm actually reading it. And I think part of it is because when I'm listening to an audiobook, typically I'm doing something else. I might be, even if it's just driving, I'm focused, my focus is diverted, it's split. Whereas if I'm sitting down with a book, I'm sitting down and I am reading I'm consuming that book. And so I don't do as well with the audiobooks.
No, but listen, give it a try, because I was under the impression that I was not retaining information when I was doing audiobooks. So I got to the conclusion, this is my own conclusion about myself, not record. I'm not a psychologist or anything like that. I thought that my brain was like a warehouse and I was putting information and storing the information there so I can pull it out whenever I need it. Then I realized, like, I think that my warehouse has a door in the back because
And
information is
everything's just
coming in and it's
going
going out somewhere.
I'll tell now.
Maybe it's passing by, but it's
Now
not like staying there.
I will tell you the one genre of book in audiobooks that I can listen to and be enthralled by and be entertained by, biographies, because that's
Okay.
more of a story of somebody's
Yes.
life, and everything. Whereas if you're trying, like if I were trying to listen to some like economics book or something with like concepts where I had to understand the
Yes,
concept.
no, I agree.
That doesn't happen. But biographies, to your point, I can do audiobooks of biographies.
No, do fiction and to be entertained. I will recommend one to start. All the Light We Cannot See.
All the Light We Cannot See.
We Cannot See. I highly recommend that book. Do it an audiobook.
Okay.
And then if you get bored, it's in Netflix. So you can watch a Netflix series.
There you go. There you go. Well, very cool.
But that one is a historical background. It's happening in France during the Second World War. And magnificent story. The guy that wrote the book, amazing story. But it's fiction, so it's entertaining. You're in your car and you're listening, and maybe you're smoking your cigar, and God bless America. This is a beautiful thing.
I'm typically always smoking a cigar in the car unless I've got somebody in the car with me. So, and even then, if they like the cigars, then I don't mind. But that's now we're blowing and weed eating. So now we got the blower going by.
But all the light we cannot see. All the light we cannot see. I forgot the name of the author, but that's a great, fantastic audiobook. I did that one through audiobook, and it was a great experience.
Very cool. The guy with the blower literally just went walking by, blew some shit in my tent. Anyway, no, this weekend I mostly was reading children's books. I had my son this weekend, and
nice.
So we were just kind of reading children's books, and that has been another thing. You have kids?
I do, but my daughters are a little bit older, 24 and 21.
Okay, so my son turns 8 in May, so there's that.
It's a baby.
But my son, he's we're a little behind with some things. Nothing major. It's one of those. The COVID years definitely did not help his education, because that was preschool and kindergarten, and so there was a lot going on there, and learning over Zoom did not help. That situation. So we're kind of in a bit of a build up, working stage. And so this weekend, we really concentrated a lot on what they call the CVC words, consonant, vowel, consonant, it's like dog, cat, those kind of things. And they're sight words. And this is all stuff that I'm sure my teachers used with me that I didn't know the science behind it and everything, but it's amazing how many words, we as human beings, when we see it, we don't actually even read it. We see it and we know it like right away.
Yes.
It's like the, be, and, the filler words that they're sight words. We don't even really consciously read them. And so we've been working a lot with that. And so there's been a lot of short stories and stuff. So no, it's been fun. It's been fun. So.
Well, it's a different thing, but it's a great thing that besides that, it's a good exercise to spend time with your son.
Bingo. I mean, sorry, it got smoky there for a minute. We've got all kinds of fun stuff coming up with the summer and everything. I mean, my kid loves to swim. He's a fish, man. He's been taking swimming lessons since he turned 1. I mean, like, this kid just loves the water. So we got all kinds of fun stuff planned. But anyway,
cool. Congrats, bro.
Well, cool. Well, why don't now I'm going to talk about My Monthly Cigars. It's a premium cigar subscription service. We're going to get a box of cigars sent to your door every month. Come in a variety of size boxes. I get the Robusto box, which is 4 cigars for $30. You can get the El Presidente, which is 8 cigars, 2 of everything that's in the Robusto box, for $50. And if you go to mymonthlycigars.com and use offer code PULPIT, PULPIT, get you free shipping on the first box. And while you're over there, you can pick up some fucking good coffee. Come in a variety of different flavors and varieties. And he's got a sign up on his website where you can get information as to how you can be in on pre-ordering the fucking good cigar. It is going to be a limited edition cigar. It's going to come in packs of a variety. I don't remember the count that he told me, but it is going to be a limited deal. So if you guys are interested in the fucking good cigar, you're going to want to head over there and get on the email list so that you can sign up for that. René, I love the 1888 Nicaragua. That when you guys came out with that, you sent me some samples, and I just immediately was like, this is a regular rotation cigar for me. It hits all the beautiful flavor profiles and strength profiles and everything that's in my wheelhouse. I typically like a nice medium bodied, sun grown, maybe Habano, kind of something in that range. But like this cigar, I've smoked it in the Robusto, the Corona, and the Toro, and it's wonderful. So I've been really enjoying my cigar.
Thank you so much. And listen, and that was the idea, to make a great cigar again at a very good price point. And by the way, I sent you this morning because I saw my computer when I put it on. There you have Nick. So I told, like, you send him a box of the Miami, but the Cañonazo, the what is it? Almost like a 6x50, 254 size.
Oh yeah,
On the
yeah, yeah.
bigger size of the Miami. So there is a box of those on the way to you. So that
Well,
was that.
thank you so much. I
That's
actually just shared a Miami Lancero with a friend of mine, Mike, that lives over in St. Louis, and he was kind enough to share a few cigars with me, and I'm like, hey, I got a really good one I want to share with you. So he and I got together and we recorded Tuesday's episode for this week, and we I gave him one of the Miami Lanceros when I was over there.
That's a beautiful cigar. That's a beautiful cigar. So that was the reason. Some people ask us if we can make that blend a little bit ring-aged. So we made a good batch of those cigars. I still had some boxes. And you know what? Let me send one to Nick so that way he can enjoy before they're sort of like out. We're working on some other blends. And so, as I told you, our plan is to have a couple of new releases, one by the summer. And also we're working on what we call the Villiger limited releases. And when I say is because we make one in Nicaragua and one in the Dominican Republic. We're letting the cigars age for a year before we put them in the market.
Yeah.
Special tobacco that allow us to make maybe like 5,000 cigars, on each site, on each factory. And the idea is that we're going to be, sending them to the retailers in a humidor, so that way the humidor can stay at the store for future new releases, the limited releases. And so that way we don't have to spend, to make the best cigar possible without spending a penny on package, meaning on a box. Because just to give you an idea, a beautiful, nice, well done box is somewhere between $20 to $25. And if you put that in a box of 10, it's $2 more per cigar in cost.
Yeah.
Just to give an idea. So the idea was like, let me try to do this in a different way and to get the most spectacular tobacco that we could have in the factory and make some beautiful blends. And I told our master blenders, let me put it this way, I don't want to give you any guidelines. Just impress me, brag, show off all your skills as a master blender to make some amazing, they don't have to be full bodied. We want them medium plus, in order to get the attention of the people. So that is one of the projects that we're working. We have the cigars, in place. We're just waiting for the right time to release them. And again, we want to give the cigars at least a year of aging in the factory before we put them in the market. It's more of a project, a fun project to brag about it, to show our blending skills as a company, to show that, we can have core brands and we can have some limited edition brands, but in a different spectrum of blends. So those are the type of things that we are working on. We're going to have, in the second half of the year, the TAA 2024.
I was going to ask about that. I didn't know if it was open knowledge as to who's helping you out with that this year. I know you kind of have worked with other people in the past with that.
This is the project that that we work with different people every year. So this year we worked, you might not familiar with the company. It's called La Maya Selva Cigars. It's a Honduran cigar brand. So we wanted to have a Honduran puro. So we made a Honduran cigar. The cigar's already made since November last year. Remember, this is part of the planning process. We're supposed to release by April all the TAA cigars. So they were ready since December, but now the TAA was moved up to October. Yeah. So, these are just in the aging room. We don't have a Honduran, cigar, a puro in our portfolio. So we decided to go to a Honduran puro for this one. And just to give you a heads up, this morning I was having a cigar with Ernesto Perez Carrillo, because maybe we will plan to go back to Ernesto Perez Carrillo next year for the next TAA. And he has some amazing tobacco. It's amazing, you know, with this guy is amazing, the library of tobaccos that he has.
Yeah.
That you get like blown away with his blending capabilities. So this morning, my cigar and my coffee this morning was with Ernesto Perez Carrillo, because we're trying to brainstorm what to do next together.
First of all, I love the fact that there's all this collaboration with you guys. That you know, you guys are working, you know, so well together and everything. That's so much fun for me. But the other thing, my question: which year was it that he did for you guys again?
2020.
Yes, I knew. I was sitting here. I'm like thinking it was 2020. 2020. I mean, not to speak anywhere near disparaging of any of the other years, but I have smoked the 2020 on. I've been fortunate enough, either through you or through finding them, to smoke the 20, 21, 22, and 23. The 2020 is like lights out my favorite. I love that one. I still have one more chilling in my humidor in there, and it's one of those ones that every once in a while I glance at it and I'm like, not today, soon, but not today. But oh my God, no, that's exciting. I'm
No,
looking forward to that.
no, and that, you know, it's a fun exercise because we get to work with some cool people in this industry, and it was this. I was when I went to Santiago that I told you in Dominican Republic. I went and visited Ernesto Perez Carrillo, and he was showing me all the tobaccos that he has now available to work in blends. So I told him maybe we should go back and do that, because at the end of the day, even today, is Cigar will still have requests of the TAA. Like, you know, is the one first that's sold faster than any
Yeah.
of the other ones. And second, the people coming back, like, by any chance you have a box, you know, sitting over there somewhere in the warehouse, and they ship it to us.
No, like I said, I don't. All the TAA cigars have been wonderful. They've been very different in their own unique ways.
Yep.
But man, that 2020 just, I will never forget the first time I fired that thing up. I was down in Memphis at the Tinderbox down there. I actually drove down. It's funny. I drove down. I met up with my friend Teddy, who lives down in Memphis, and Nick Perdomo was doing an event, and it was just a one day. I mean, it's like 4 hours from here, and I did it in one day. I drove down 4 hours, did the event, and then came back that same day.
Well,
And I was there obviously for that. But it's a new shop. You got to scope out the humidor, see what they have that you don't have locally. And I'm walking around and I see Villiger, and I had recognized the brand. I don't remember where I had recognized the brand from. I heard about you guys somewhere. And
maybe after
I
we
saw
met at the TPE that year, maybe. Or
it was
no, that was
21.
it.
It was 21 that we met in
Yeah.
TPE. So that was January. That was, yeah. And so this was my first experience with Villiger, was the TAA 2020. And so I saw it, and I bought one. And so I'm sitting down with Teddy, and we're trying to, I got my ones from the event, but then I also have these other ones that I had purchased. So I'm like, I'm gonna fire up this Villiger real quick. I'm gonna smoke this. So I sat there with Teddy with that, and it was just the most magnificent smoke. And I'm like, okay. So before I left, I ended up going back in there and buying like 3 more. And
Nice.
then I, met you at TPE, and it was wonderful meeting you, and tried the La Libertad at that point and everything. I'm like, this is fantastic. I love this. And then it was
Oh, listen,
September.
the TAA,
Oh,
the
go ahead.
TAA. Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. September what?
Well, I was just going to say September of 21, we had PulpitFest that year, and Teddy was coming up for that. And I told him beforehand, I said, hey, do me a favor, swing by Tinderbox, just see. I know it's been a year. Just see if they happen to have any of the 2020s sitting around. And if they do, buy them out for me. And by God, he came up with 4 of them, and he bought them out for me.
Nice.
So I was able to get 4 more. And like I said, I'm down to 1. So.
No, listen, just to give you the idea is that, is to work and have fun and to have different blends. We did the 2020 with Ernesto Perez Carrillo. 21, we did it with Tabacalera Palma with Hochi Blanco. 22, it was 21, 22. I forgot about now. What was it? Hochi Blanco. We did Ernesto. No, we did. I'm sorry. 22, we did Eric Espinosa.
Yes.
La Zona.
And then last
23,
year was
we did Aganorsa last year.
Aganorsa, yeah.
And this year
that was a really good one too.
That was a very good one. And you will be impressed with this one from Honduras. It's beautiful. They smoke too. So again, that's the reason. We're in the planning stages of 25. So Ernesto might be the possibility, at least up to now, but not 100% confirmed. So we're working on that one because we want to give time to these projects to make sure that they're not rushed into the markets. I'm going to steal Carlito Fuentes. You cannot rush the what is that he says, the hands of time.
Hands of time. Yes. There you go. Well, fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. One way or the other, I'm looking forward to it. Those TA
Thank
cigars.
you. Thank you,
Every time I get those in the mail from you, I'm always just like, oh, this is gonna be a treat. And it always is. So anyway. Well, in terms of the socials, I'm available on Instagram at the Cigar Pulpit. I'm on Facebook where we have the Pulpit Parishioners group, and Twitter/X and YouTube where you can watch this. And guys, there are still a few tickets left for PulpitFest. Head on over to Eventbrite, BRITE.com, and sign up for that. It's a complimentary ticket. We just need head count purposes. But we are bumping close to the ceiling on that event. So you're going to want to make sure, if you're interested in going, you're going to want to make sure you get over there and get your ticket reserved so that you can start your planning and everything like that. And it's going to be a fun time. You're not going to want to miss it. And Renee, where can people... Where can be?
No, we need the head count so that way we know how many cigars to give to the people and gadgets and stuff and whatever.
Lighters and all kinds of fun. I mean, there's going to be all kinds of fun stuff. I mean, I don't want to like let a cat out of the bag. I'm even looking at lapel pins because I've got a guy that like he loves lapel pins. So it's like, okay, fine, we'll start lapel pins. But anyway, and where can people find out more about Villiger Cigars?
No, we have our website at villigercigars.com. In Instagram, we are at Villiger Cigars, and we have Villiger Cigars Official. That's our friends in Europe. So if you want to see our European side of the company, it's Villiger Cigars Official, and for the US, it's at Villiger Cigars only for the US. And now we have our YouTube channel as Villiger Cigars USA. Also, that we put some fun stuff over there in YouTube too. So it's easy. It's Villiger Cigars everywhere in the website, the YouTube, and the Instagram accounts.
Perfect.
And we get fancy with Villiger Cigars Official because you see that our Swiss friends doing whatever they do when they smoke cigars.
Yeah, no, I mean it's great. I like seeing the Villiger come up my feed there. If it's not a nice little video or something like that, it's always some gorgeous photography. So it's a nice channel to follow. So,
but I can't wait for the PulpitFest. So let us know. We're ready over here for you, and I think it's going to be very fun.
Like I said, Ken and I we've been having regular conversation. I think we've got another call scheduled for next week. I think we've got a call next week scheduled that we're gonna sit and finalize up a few more things, and it's coming together. It's coming together really, really well. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Time is flying. So
it is. My God, I can't believe the fact that we're already at mid to late April. I mean, it's crazy. So, it's gonna. You're right. It's gonna be there quick.
It's gonna be around the corner. You will see. You blink, and we will be there having fun.
Well, and now's the time for people to be booking flights. They get cheaper flights at this point. You wait until the last minute. Your flights are gonna be way more expensive.
True. Listen, it's crazy the way the price of the tickets are these days. So it's better to do it way ahead of time.
And not to like get on a subject there, but my God, they charge so much to fly, and it's such an uncomfortable experience. I want to go back to like how it was before I was even born, where you had all kinds of room and everything, and
and you could smoke a cigar in the plane.
Yes, it was a luxury. You could smoke a cigar. You had a meal. It was wonderful. Now it's like a cattle call, man. They cram you in as tight as you can be, and I'm a portly man of size. I don't like to be crammed into those flights. I always take the aisle, but the problem with the aisle is then I always inevitably have that drink cart bashing into my knee every time it goes by. But such is life. So, Renee, thank you so much for taking time out of your day today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me over here. It's always fun, and I can't wait for the PulpitFest. Thank you so much for all the support and for spreading the word. Again, the Golden Leaf guys got to me just because they were fans of yours.
Got you a sales rep. That's what I'm taking away from this episode is I got you a Texas sales rep. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm happy with
You
that.
did.
All right. Well, guys, this has been another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm Nick. And that's
René Castaneda.
And everybody stay safe and stay smoky. And of course, now the guy's done cutting grass.
That's usually how it happens. Thank you, brother.
Oh, no. Thank